Okay, so this is, I'm breaking up our review into 2 days, okay? So today I'm reviewing with you graphing, equations, and proportional relationships. Tomorrow we're going to focus on writing equations. Now, because of the play yesterday, and I was also out with a sick kid, we didn't do the point slope form. We're going to do point slope form tomorrow, but we're just going to kind of have to see how it goes tomorrow with point slope to see whether or not, it's only one question on your quiz. So, I mean, it's really not a huge deal either way, but that's kind of the plan. All right, so for today, like I said, we're going to practice graphing equations, how to graph equations, how to know which method we're going to use to graph an equation. All right, so point slope form we haven't learned yet, okay? But let's go over the other two, okay? So go ahead and read it with me. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. You have to know what it's called. So in one of my earlier classes, I had a student who, actually I've had many students today, who know all the steps. They know the steps, but they don't know what it's called. I'm like, great, you're doing it right. What's it called? They're like, I don't know. They know the steps to get to the answer, okay? So you have to know what it's called, slope-intercept form. Now my slope formula with ordered pairs, let's say it together. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so those are my formulas, okay? So this is how your quiz and your tests are going to be worded. Graph the linear equation, okay? We know that there's more than one way to do that. You guys remember at the very beginning we used tables? Do you guys remember that, the XY tables? We don't really love that method. We kind of haven't really done a whole lot of that since then. But you could, okay? Look at the equation. The equation has to be in one of two formats, either slope-intercept or standard form. Is this in one of those formats? Which one? It's in slope-intercept, isn't it? Y equals mx plus b, right? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. On your desk, we're going to do 3 graphs. I want you to write a nice big graph on your desk, okay, with your expo markers. Nice big graph. Do not erase the graph after this question, okay? You're going to just erase the line, then we're going to do another one, okay? I want you to set up a graph. Guys, be careful on your numbering. Just number it by ones, okay? I know that my graph is numbered by 2s, but I also skipped every other line. All right, so I have some kids getting confused by that. Don't do that. Just one line, and then number it, okay? All right, we're not going crazy with it, okay? Y equals 2x plus 1. All right, look at the equation. Y equals 2x plus 1. Where does my first point go? I see a lot of you guys got it. Put your point. My first point goes on the y-intercept. My b value. Remember, this is y equals mx plus b. My first point goes on my y-intercept. Then how do I know where to go from there? Okay, up to, follow your slope. Up to over, what's it over?
1.
Over 1. All right, so up to over 1, plot your point, and now we draw our line straight through. Okay, so on your quiz, it's going to be very important that you draw a very straight line, because I'm going to ask you, what is the x-intercept? The only way for you to tell the x-intercept is by drawing the line long enough to cross over the x-axis. Okay? So my x-intercept here, do you see how it's kind of in between the units? Well, what do you think that's pretty close to? Negative 0.5. Okay? Negative 0.5. It crosses the x-axis about halfway between 0 and negative 1. Negative 0.5. If you say negative 1 on that, I would take it. Okay? All right, so the most important part is that we understand how to graph the line, but then also tell what the x-intercept is. All right? So now this next one is a little trickier because it's not quite in slope-intercept form. Pay attention. It's not quite in slope-intercept, but it's not in standard form either. So you have to decide which format is easier to get it into. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Which format do you think it would be easier to get it into? Y equals mx plus b? Or ax plus by equals c? Definitely y equals mx plus b. Okay? Y equals mx plus b, all I have to do is solve for y. All I have to do is solve for y. To get y by itself, all right, so write down this equation. Good, John, you got it. Okay? What do I need to do to get y by itself? Not plus 6, but subtract 6. All right, so get it in slope-intercept form. Y equals 5x minus 6, and now graph it. Graph it. We okay? All right. So it's definitely easier on this one to get it in slope-intercept, not in standard form. Standard form was going to take way too much work. Okay? Slope-intercept was way easier. All right. So where did your first point go? Negative 6. And where did you go from there? Up 5 over 1. Are you guys getting the hang of this? Okay. So now we've reached enough exposures to this concept, which means we've done it enough times that we should be getting pretty close to mastery. Okay. Is this getting easier to you guys? All right. Let's look at this next one now. Which format, all right? So this is going to be important for your test. Which format is this equation in? Yes, that is correct. It's in standard form. Wouldn't you agree it's going to take a whole lot to get it into slope-intercept? Yes. And that's unnecessary. Because if it's in standard form, I can deal with that. You guys remember what to do? When it's in standard form, what do? Get your intercepts. Write it 2 times. So this is where just off in the corner of your desk, I want you to write this equation 2 times. Okay? On the first one, what are you solving for? X. And on the second one, what are you solving for? Y. So if I'm solving for X, what do I plug in for Y? 0. And then vice versa. Once you get those, plot your points and you're done. All right? Go ahead and work on this. All right, so to solve for X, I plugged in 0 for Y. Divided by 2, X equals 6, which we know that means 6, 0. I saw many of you plotting the ordered pair. Then to solve for Y, I plug in 0 for X. Divide both sides by 3. And Y equals 4, so that's 0, 4. All right, now we just plotted those 2 points on our graph. And drew our line. And we're done. Did your lines look like this? Okay. Is this what y'all's lines look like? All right. Are you guys feeling better about this? All right. Graphing. So we're done with graphs. All right. Erase your graphs. Erase your graphs. We're done with graphs. Okay. Now we need to find slope. Okay. There's 2 formulas depending on the format. If you have ordered pairs, say the formula with me. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? So let's say the sequence together. x1, y1, x2, y2. All right? So now plug in your numbers and finish solving. Okay, guys, let's do our subtraction together. Negative 6 minus 4 over 10 minus negative 8. All right, change that to a positive. Negative 10 over 18, but is that my final answer? No. Got to reduce it. M equals negative 5 over 9. Oh, you got to reduce. Yes, you do have to reduce. Leave it a fraction. Don't make it a decimal or anything like that, but definitely reduce it. Okay? Yes. All right, number two. Number two, how do I find slope with a graph? M equals rise over run. How many do I rise? Rise 1, run 1, 2, 3, 4. M equals 1/4. All right, that's probably one of the easier ones on your test tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, on your quiz Friday. Okay, M equals 1/4. All right, now let's talk proportional relationships. Too much talking, guys. Look up here. Okay, proportional relationships. Let's look at the graph first. I want to look at number 2 first. Does anybody remember the one rule, the one criteria for determining if a graph shows a proportional relationship?
Oh, wait, I know.
No?
It's when the x value is 0.
Okay, close. You're really, really close. When the line does what? When it goes through 0. Does this line go straight through 0? Okay, so what Tamia said, when x is 0, so is y. Okay, it passes through the origin. So you would say yes. Okay, you don't necessarily have to write anything on your desk, but this is going to be on your review video. It is proportionate. Why? The line crosses the origin. Okay, or 0, 0, or passes through 0, 0. Okay, but that's called the origin. Now, if you have a table of values, okay, look at how would you get from this x value to this y value. How could you get from 20 to 4? Divide by what? 5. Divide by 5, okay? So let's test that operation. I need to divide by 5. Does it work? What's 45 divided by 5?
9.
Is 45 divided by 5 9?
Yes.
Absolutely. Is 60 divided by 5? Look here. Is 60 divided by 5 12?
Yes.
Yes. So this is proportionate because the same rate applies to all the ordered pairs. Here's what you say. You have to write it as a rate. M equals, what operation did we do? Divide by 5. Would I write that as a fraction or a whole number?
Fraction.
A fraction. M equals 1/5. So if you had multiplied by 2, what would you have said? M equals 2. No, if you multiply by 2, it's a whole number. If you divide, it's a fraction. If you multiply, it's a whole number. Okay? All right, proportional relationships. All right, last but not least, okay, we're almost kind of backtracking with these last 3 problems. All right, because you've already been doing this when we were graphing, right, Anna? We're paying attention? Okay. Identify the slope and y-intercept. What is my variable for slope? What's my variable for slope? M. And what's my variable for y-intercept? M equals B equals. Am I ready to say M equals B equals? All right, get it in slope-intercept. It must be in slope-intercept before you can say M equals B equals. All right, go ahead and do it. All right, guys. So we heart the y because we're solving for y. Pay attention. What do I do to get y by itself? Add 8. Okay, I can't do 5x plus 8, so I just bring it down. Y equals 5x plus 8. So what is my m? 5 over 1. Why would I write it 5 over 1?
Because it's slow.
Rise over run. It reminds me to run. Okay? B equals what? Pay attention, we're almost done. 8. Who got it right? Who got it right? Okay? All right, if your buddies around you got it wrong, that's on you. You're supposed to be helping them. Okay? All right, identify parallel lines, guys. Too much talking. Okay? What needs to be the same in order for lines to be parallel?
Slope.
The slope, the m value. So you can't compare the slopes until they're both in what? Slope and intercept. Okay? So you have 2y plus 14 equals 6x. All right? So you need to solve for y on both equations. You got to solve for y on both equations. A little easier on the first one. Okay, you need to solve for y on both equations. Okay, add 6 to both sides. Y equals 3x plus 6. Okay, so I solve for y. I know the slope is 3. Okay, now let me solve for y on the other one to see what that slope is. 2y equals, what do I write first? 6x minus 14, but I have one more step. Divide everything by what? 2. You guys paying attention? Not doodling? Come on, don't make me call you out. A&R. Pay attention. Y equals 3x minus 7. Are these lines parallel? Yes. They have the same slope. They have the same slope, guys. Yes. Both slopes are 3. Yes, it does. They both have the same slope. They both have a slope of 3. They're both angling the same way. Okay? All right, last problem. I want you to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, guys, pay attention. I'm going to ask you this on your test. What form is this equation in currently? It's in standard form currently. I want you to think about the example of rearranging your bedroom furniture. Right now, this equation is in standard form. I want you to rearrange it so it will be in slope-intercept form. Okay? So what's slope-intercept? Y equals mx plus b. Solve for y. All you're doing is rearranging this equation. Yes, exactly. So where does your heart go? Where does your heart go, guys? Around the 3y. Okay, so now get everything else to the other side. I'm going to give you guys a minute to do it. Okay, all right. What do you do first, guys?
Subtract by 9x on both sides.
Subtract both sides by 9x. Guys, bring the x. You need to write the x. All right? Otherwise, you're going to think it's 18 minus 9. 3y equals, what do I write next?
Negative 9x plus 18.
Negative 9x plus 18. Got to keep it in that format. Y equals mx plus b. Divide by 3. Read it with me. Y equals negative 3x plus 6. I need you to understand this, guys. Please listen. This is it. Okay? We're almost done. Standard form and slope-intercept form. If I were to graph this in standard form and I were to graph it in slope-intercept, it would be the exact same graph. You're not listening. It would be the exact same graph. If you had found your y-intercepts with standard form, or if you had changed it to slope-intercept and graphed it, it would be the exact same graph. All you did was rearrange it. Okay? So, we have to understand that they really are very similar. They're just rearranged. All right, that's it for part 1 of our review.